Hi, Brandy.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Great. Can you remind me where you're located
South
again?
Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay. Cool. Cool. Great. All right. Sorry, I'm just setting up here. Great. So thank you so much for jumping on the call with me. I am excited to talk a little bit about assignments and how you work with assignments. You might have noticed that this is being streamed on or live on YouTube. So addressing that, it's just a link that I can provide to my teammates so they can watch without, sort of being distracting or being
Yeah.
like floating boxes in Zoom. So they're just taking notes. But yeah, so and if we should jump into things and start talking about assignments. If you don't mind, would it be okay if I recorded this meeting
Yeah.
just for my own notes? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
totally fine.
Okay, great. All right. Cool. So, like I said, I think today we're just going to have a general conversation. There's no specific screens or anything I'm showing. I just want to get a sense of how you use assignments and schedule them. Um, so, and can you remind me what grades do you teach and what subjects do you teach?
I currently teach sixth grade math. Last year, I taught seventh grade social studies. And I work hand in hand with the rest of my sixth grade team to kind of understand how they do their classroom as well. We team teach, so it's a pod of four: science, social studies,
Oh,
math, ELA. So we are all kind of on the same. So I was hoping that knowing how they do some things too, I would be able to share that with you as well.
yeah, absolutely. Any information you can give is helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. And so do you use any sort of LMS or learning management system like Google Classroom or Canvas or something?
Yeah, we use Schoology.
Okay.
Everybody, middle school and high school in our district uses Schoology.
Okay, great. And do you have any sort of digital curriculum you use or something from a publisher?
So for our math book, we use the HMH textbook, and they do
Okay.
have a online version where we can assign online things. I know science uses Discovery Ed, I
Okay.
believe is right. Yeah.
Okay. Great. That is helpful to know. Since we will be also talking a little bit more specifically around digital assignments.
Yes.
So great. So the first question is kind of broad. Just want to get a sense of how do you usually schedule assignments? Like how to create it, what challenges you have, anything about that you want to share.
So like I said, we use Schoology here, and the way my Schoology is set up, and I'm actually see my eyeballs going everywhere because I'm pulling it up so I can
Yeah.
like talk as well.
Hmm.
The way my Schoology is set up, every week I have a weekly folder. So it'll say week of April 18th through the 22nd.
Hmm.
And then the title of the topic that we're learning. When the students open that weekly folder, there's a Monday through Friday folder. I publish one day at a time. So on Monday, I publish Monday. On
Okay.
Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday are published. Then Wednesday. So it's a consecutive week. At the end of that week, I move that whole weekly folder to what I call a graveyard, so that kids can always go back and access those
Okay.
things,
Yeah.
the assignments and stuff. Then within each day's folder, I
Hmm.
post everything that we're doing for that day.
Hmm.
So I have an opener, and I use a Schoology quiz tool for
Hmm.
that. Then I'll post like a link to our notes, or if we're using a Google Slides or something, I'll post the viewable link for that.
Hmm.
And whatever assignment we do, I post in there as well. So it could be like I
Hmm.
use the Schoology assignment to attach through Cami the
Hmm.
document that they're supposed to work on. Or like today, the kids had to do a Google Slides activity. So I use the
Hmm.
Google Drive
Yeah.
feature in the Schoology assignment to attach that. When I use our HMH, our textbooks publishing online tool, then I will post like just a blurb that says, hey, go do your ed assignment 9.2. And so there's no
Hmm.
link or anything for the kids to click on. They know to go and open up ed and do the assignment in there.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So there would be like a description of how to get there, and
Yeah.
then they would go there separately. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Um, would you mind, since I know you have it up, it's okay if you don't want to share, but would you mind sharing
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
Schoology?
that's
Okay,
fine.
cool.
Let's see. Share. Okay, let's see. Allow. So I had to update my computer over the spring break, and I've got to change one of my preferences, I think.
Oh, worries.
Let me see if I can figure it out real quick.
Yeah.
So security and privacy. Okay, I got to give Zoom the right to do it. Never easy, is it?
Always a few steps.
Okay, it says it's there. Okay, well, I can't figure it out.
That's okay. If you can, no worries about it. Just curious. Cool. So and let me just make sure I understood correctly. So it sounds like you publish an assignment every day for the students, and then you also have but it's organized by week folders, sort of like chronologically, sort of like week by week. Cool. And then how many assignments do they usually just have the one assignment at a time, or is there like other like ongoing assignments? Like how many do they usually have at a time?
So it typically depends on the day. Our classes are structured about 57 minutes a piece. So between an opener lesson and an assignment, it does only allow for about one assignment a day. Now there are times that, sorry. Okay, I would have to quit Zoom, so I can't do that now. I did figure it out, but I would have to quit Zoom.
Okay.
So sometimes there are more than one. Typically, it's never like two of the same type of assignments. So like it could be, we use IXL a lot as well. And the kids use the app version of IXL, not the website version. So along with the ed, if I have them do an IXL assignment, it tells them in my Schoology what IXL to go to. So then they go to their launch pad and click IXL. So it might be like a doc assignment that's through Cami that they have to do and then turn in, and then they see, oh, let me go do my IXL, and they'll go work on that. So everything like word for word that I might post on my board or post on my checklist, I post in the Schoology folder so that the kids kind of know where we're at and what's coming next.
Okay. And so how far ahead do you schedule them then? So it sounds like you actually have them quite planned out. So
I typically have a whole week ready at a time.
Okay.
And I am not very good at the time release feature. Schoology allows you to say, hey, post this at 8 a.m. on Thursday, the 21st or whatever. I'm not good at doing that. I know other teachers do. I don't ever trust it. So every morning when I get to school, I publish today's folder. It's already in the student side. They just can't see it yet.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. And have you had any challenges with scheduling or posting assignments in the past in Schoology or the publisher? I see yes.
That's why I do it myself, because I have on times where I wasn't at school and I was leaving stuff for a sub, and I had it set to publish at their class times, and it was something I did, I don't know, but the things didn't come up on time, like they didn't post, and so I get a message from one of my teachers, Brandy, none of your stuff is posted and your kids don't have anything to do. Holy crap, let me go do that real quick.
Oh, okay.
And so it was more of a trust feature on my part, not knowing exactly how to make that time published work.
Okay. Interesting. You would think that should be simple. The
wording in Schoology is very weird. So that would be like a huge thing. If you make it very simple on publish at 8 a.m. on whatever.
Yeah.
Save.
Okay. just being straightforward with the wording. Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. Great. Okay, cool. So, and then let's see, are there any like frequently asked questions from your students that you get a lot about assignments? Like, is there like just those questions that you get all the time from them? Or if there are any like that, be good to know about.
I think early on there's those questions. I teach sixth grade, and this is the first time that they've used Schoology. So in the elementary school, they use a different platform. So when they come to sixth grade, it is that, well, how do I open it? How do I submit it? In Schoology, the submit button is really small, like over on the right side. Or sometimes if it's a Google Drive assignment, they have this assignment opened in a different tab, but to submit it, you have to go back to the Schoology tab.
Yeah.
And so there's some learning curves at the beginning of making sure they understand all the different pieces and parts. Schoology is very busy on the student side. It's got things over here. It's got the calendar over here, things across the top. All their courses are dropped down. So it can be very busy for beginners.
Mhm.
But once they understand, probably through the first and half of the second 9 weeks of the school year, they know what to do. It just takes a while to get there.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, cool. And then from the and so then sort of staying on that student perspective there, like what kind of information do they get provided about the assignment, and do you feel like what is that enough, or is there other sort of information you feel like they should be getting through these
Um,
platforms?
So talking about the different platforms we use in Schoology, the teacher can set it up with an answer key and it can be graded exactly.
Hmm.
And so the kids they get that immediate grade feedback,
Hmm.
which is nice. The problem comes in if the students don't type it exactly like the teachers do. So if they make a spelling error, it
Mm-hmm.
counts it
Yeah.
wrong. Or like today, one of my assignments, they weren't putting a comma where there should have been a comma in their ordered pair. And so it was counting it wrong. Little
Okay.
things like that. It wasn't exactly, and there wasn't, the only way for me as a teacher to have accepted all the different possible answers is to put in all 12 different possible answers with or without the comma, with or without the space, with or without the parentheses, things like that.
Hmm.
We can go in and provide feedback on their assignments. The downfall to that is if I take the time to provide feedback, whether I type it in the comment section or whether I actually use a tool and write on their assignment, the kids don't get a notification that it has been done. And
Okay.
they're not very good about going back and check,
Hmm.
well, it's already graded, who cares? So they don't go back and they don't know that the teacher has done it. So unless I say, hey, I commented on your stuff, go look, they don't go look.
Okay.
In Ed, which is the math book one that we use, they
Hmm.
can get a simple grade. They have a check feature where when they're solving a problem, they can check the problem 3 times and it'll tell them right or wrong. They can get
Mm.
2 hints along the way. And after the third check, they can no longer check, but they can submit. They just won't know right off the bat if it's right or wrong.
Okay.
When they get finished, the students do not see their grade in that feature. I have to go download a report to pull their grades.
Okay.
Um, and so they don't know what their grade is until I've graded it. And then in IXL, IXL is the best one because it gives immediate feedback after each question.
Hmm.
Not necessarily exactly directed at the student, but general misconceptions that, hey, you got it wrong. Make sure you think about this next time.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
that's really good, that immediate feedback.
Yeah. So do you feel that do you feel that students do they go so it sounds like they don't often go back and check their work, so but that's something that you would like them to do?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So all right, that's good to know. Yeah. And then sort of staying on that sense of but more from your side, like what kind of information do you want to be able to see about assignments, either in terms of like if it's a past assignment or upcoming or due, like what kind of information at what stage of the assignment being up do you need?
I wish it was a little bit easier to see the students' progress. There are certain
Okay.
things within Schoology and Ed that I can't see until they have finished and they have hit submit. If they don't hit that submit button, then I can't see it, period. So I wouldn't
Mm.
even be able to give them partial credit or say, hey, you only have one question left. Go finish it and submit it. I can't
Mhm.
see that progress along the way. So to be able to see that would be very helpful.
Mhm.
And then I think being able to provide my own feedback for certain things, like if it's a
Mhm.
multiple choice question. If you picked A and it's wrong, this is why it's wrong. If you picked B and it's wrong, this is why it's wrong.
Mhm.
Being able to add in some feedback that would help direct them to their correct thinking.
Okay, cool. And sort of going back, I love how you use the term graveyard for the past assignments. Is there I guess so do you refer to the graveyard, or do you feel like the students refer to the graveyard, or is it named graveyard because it is under the ground?
I refer to it. So the kids will be like, Miss Wood, I've got a 45 for this assignment, but I did it. You need to go to your graveyard folder and find it. And so
Okay.
they know to go in their graveyard folder, find the date that corresponds to the week, and then find the
Okay.
day folder kind of thing. And then after each 9 weeks, I unpublish that 9 weeks graveyard so that they aren't inundated
Okay.
with all of those folders and everything, because they
Mhm.
can't do things from the past. Like once our 9 weeks grading is over, we don't go back and change grades.
Okay. Okay. And that 9-week period, is that associated with a term or semester? It
Yes.
is. Okay.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
Now, I
Great.
do have a folder that I keep open all the time called the composition notebook. It's our notes. So that
Mhm.
has everything from page 1 to page 61 where we're at right now. So
Mhm.
they can always access their notes for anything that they learn. They just can't access the assignments.
Okay. Okay. Great. And in turn, so is there ever a time when you need to assign or schedule an assignment for a subset or an individual student different than the rest of the group? Like what kind of situations does that have, or would that arise in?
Yeah, so I do that when I'm trying to differentiate for students. Maybe I
Mhm.
have some high flyers that are finished, and so I want them to have an assignment that pulls their thinking a little bit more. So
Mhm.
I can go in and assign it to just certain students. That
Mhm.
way, the other kids aren't like, well, I'm missing that assignment. I have to go home and do it, or we didn't get to it. And sometimes I have assignments where, like students with an IEP or a 504 plan have a modified assignment. And so I don't want anybody to know that they have something different. So I can assign this assignment to these 5 kids, but this assignment to the other 20, and nobody sees that they have one or the other. And I don't have to worry about, well, now you 5, make sure you click on this link. Like it's all titled the same, but on my side, I can see who got it and who didn't.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And that's
Um,
even in the math book. It allows you to assign the assignment to certain people, the whole class, all of your classes, anything like that.
can you say how often would you say you do that per week, or if it makes more sense per month?
I probably do it more per month,
Okay.
probably like 2 or 3 times per month,
Okay.
assigning something different.
Okay. Cool. And then, so what are the most common types of IEPs or 504s that you get for the students for the modified assignments?
It's like less options, less answer choices. So if something's multiple choice, some of my IEP students might only have ABC, whereas everybody else has ABCD. Or it could even be some of the explanation, like if it's true, false, everybody has to tell me if it's false, what they would correct to make it true, but some students might not. They just might have to pick true, false. Some options are to allow the use of a calculator. And so on those questions, they can get the tool to use a calculator, but everybody won't.
Okay.
Or extended time. We can set due dates. And so if there's a due date, especially in the math textbook, you cannot access that assignment after the due date. So for students that have extended time, I might extend their due date so that they have extra days to work on it.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. And do you feel, and so and I'm sorry if you said this, but so is it usually one student that you're doing this for, or is it usually a set of students that you're setting these for?
It's not a whole lot.
Okay.
The most common accommodations are extra time and preferential seating, things that you can't always handle electronically. I would say, I think this year I have one student that gets the use of a calculator in one class, 2 students in one class that have modified choices, so they get less choices. Um, and I have a bunch that have extended time throughout my whole day. So it's not necessarily a whole lot, but it is very helpful. And a lot of the accommodations are really applied to summative assessments. So like our tests, projects, not necessarily just our classwork. So it's okay if their classwork is exactly the same, but when you're thinking about testing them virtually, then you need to have that ability.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. I've heard that before. The testing is probably most
Yeah.
common. Yeah, makes sense. Great. So, and do you ever need to associate your assignments with like standards? Like, is that, or is it more of a implicit or explicit thing? Like, how does that usually work for you?
We don't have to list out our standards or our learning targets or anything like that. That's not required in my district or required by the state. So that is very nice. We do have to have what's called a weekly checklist posted. And that weekly checklist includes our learning target for each day, which should be developed from your standards, but nothing has to be explicitly posted.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. Yeah. Great. And sort of circling back to the separate assignments a little bit, when you are creating separate assignments, do you ever do that for cheating purposes, or is it usually just the IEP reasons?
I don't do it for cheating purposes. There,
Okay.
I do have the ability to like randomize the order of the questions,
Mhm.
so that the two sitting side by side don't get the same question at the same time. I've never used it. I know some teachers do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really don't.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Um, okay. So this question is a little bit more abstract, so bear with me, but I'm going to ask you to complete a couple sentences. So the first question is, creating and scheduling assignments currently feels like what?
Currently feels like a task.
A task.
Sometimes, do you want me to expand?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Sometimes the click through process of creating everything and saving everything is monotonous, and there's lots of clicks to get it all done. And then sometimes I don't always know which tool is best to use for what I'm looking for. So within Schoology, we have lots of different types of assignments that we can set up and different ways to schedule them. But I'm like, well, what's going to be the best for me to use a number line or a graph with my kids? Can the kids manipulate it? Making sure they can do all those different things. So trying to take what might have been, 30 years ago when I was in school, what would have been my paper in front of me, and making it so that the kids can manipulate it, which is where we're trying to get to more these days.
Okay. Yeah. Great. And then the second sentence I have for you is, I want creating and scheduling assignments to feel like what?
A breeze. I want to know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what each tool means, and to not be so overwhelmed with, well, you can do it this way or this way. No, tell me which way is the one way, and then let me learn how to do that way.
Starting small and can branch out from there. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. That makes sense. I love that, actually. Great. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to check my notes. I actually went through a few of these a little faster than I'd expected. So, do you ever reuse assignments from past years to the current year? Like, how would you usually do that? Or is that something you do?
At the end of the year, we can, what's it called? We can take our entire course and put it into our resources. So next year I can go look at a past course and it will look just like it does right now. That way, so I've learned over the years to start titling my folders a little bit better. So not only does it say week of 18th through the 22nd, it also says coordinate plane. So I know that this is my coordinate plane unit. So when I'm going to find something, I can easily find it within that folder. And then it's a matter of a click, copy to course, and I add it to my new course. So that is nice. I do that a lot.
Okay. Yeah. About what percentage would you say of your assignments are actually copied from previous courses?
This year, I would probably say around 30 or 40%. If I continue teaching this next year, it will probably be more, because having those openers, the videos, because of the way school has been the past, 2.5 years now, I've created more videos. Like, why would I keep recreating those things, and why keep them stored in multiple places? My Google Drive, my Schoology, like just being able to have things in one place and copy it over. So this year we've been really intentional about putting everything into Schoology, naming it correctly so that we can easily find it for next year, and then just adapting what we need to next year instead of having to start from scratch.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And can you remind me how long you have been teaching then?
This is my 10th year.
10th year. Okay, cool. So quite a bit of time though. Yeah. So cool. All right. All right. I guess we covered most of it. I'm curious to know, like, is there anything that you would love to see, or anything that we didn't cover so far about assignments that you feel like is really important, or you would want, like National Geographic learning to know? Should we, look at assignments again? Like, what would you say to that?
I think one of the best things for students, whether, like I said, I teach math, but last year I taught social studies, and I taught geography last year, and we used a lot of maps. And so it's important that within the assignment, within whatever tool that the kids are using, they can manipulate that. If that means they need to use that specific thing to zoom into the map, and it actually clearly pixelate, or if it means they can use some type of writing tool or typing tool on top of it to be able to input their thoughts or take notes on it right there would be really cool. So that I don't have to create, Google Doc for every child and have them make copies of it and things like that. That way it's stored in their learning system, and then they can go back and access that just like they would their notebook.
And do you, I guess this is a little bit more specific question, but do you have any strong feelings on if students have a list of their tasks, and for you, does it make more sense? Do you look at it in terms of like a calendar or like a list of to-do items? Like, is there any preference there?
I'm more of a to-do list type of person, and I prioritize. I know this year our kids haven't been really good at it, but in the past we have had a group of students that if you put a due date on something, Schoology would mark it on your calendar. Ed also marks it on the Ed calendar, but we don't access that every single day. So when kids would open up Schoology, oh my gosh, this is due today. Well, you haven't had science yet, so I'm sure it's what you're doing in science class. So the kids did like that feature. And that was prior to the pandemic. We had really started also putting our test dates in that calendar and using that feature. So our kids would use it more like an agenda, like old-fashioned agendas instead of an agenda, because the schools don't buy those anymore for the kids.
Yeah.
So, it is a good feature to have.
I remember agendas. That's a throwback.
I have a paper agenda.
My notebook is my agenda essentially nowadays. But
yes.
Great. And would you say that is there a difference between like the way you schedule assignments for social studies versus math versus geography, like the different types of subjects that you teach?
I have never done it differently. I've always laid out my lessons very similar. You have an opener, you have a lesson, you have an assignment, you have some type of closer. It looks different in each classroom. And I think it's important for the kids to be scheduled that way so that they know a beginning, middle, end of the class. They can kind of follow along their thought process as well. So I don't think it is different.
Okay, cool. And I'm just going to squeeze in another question that came to mind. So do you use how do you use the grade book for, do you use the grade book in Schoology or nope. Okay.
We don't, it is set up so the kids get a grade in Schoology, but we use PowerSchool, and we don't make the two talk, which would be very nice if they did, because not everything I do is electronics. Like it's math, we do paper, and even in geography writing, they write things out. So it would be nice if whatever grade book is in the system would talk to the actual grade book that reports students' grades.
Okay. Cool. All right, great. We are just about at time, and I want to be mindful of your time. I'm sure you're super busy between all of your different classes. So just wanted to quick reminder that thank you for your time. We're going to send you a Tango gift card. It's going to come from Tango. So just a heads up, sometimes it gets caught in spam. So if you don't see it, I think it should come in the next 4 to 5 business days, I think is usually what it is. So if you don't see anything by end of next week, then you can always reach out too. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk about assignments and
anything I can do to better educational technology to make our lives easier in the long run.
Great. That is perfect. Awesome. Great. All right. Well, have a good rest of your Tuesday.
You too. Thank you so much.